SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man.
Good morning. Welcome in. It is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for starting your day with Lance Tolbert and me. Glad to have you along. Love to hear from you. Spire text line 601-879-4395. Trying to get this microphone to do what I want it to do. 601-879-4395. The best way for you to get in touch with the show is just like that. Send us the text with the words in it. How about some pictures also? What does it look like where you are this morning? You got a sunrise? Cloudy? Are you in an area that is still affected by Winter Storm Fern that is now several days in the rearview mirror, but has left its remnants in the wake? Shoot them to us. Love to hear from you. Love to see some of what you've got going this morning. Mornings is presented by Community Bank, online at communitybank.net. Community Bank, rooted in our community. Lance, good morning.
Good morning.
What's shaking, brother?
Oh, it's just cool here. I know y'all have a lot more to deal with than we are here. It's just cold, and which I can handle. How's Oxford and North Mississippi coming around? I know it's morning early, but I'm sure the warmer temps helped a little yesterday.
Yeah, there's a lot of melt yesterday. You know, one of the most interesting things to me was with the heavy freezing rain, and it was heavy. Everything outside was coated with, this icy, clear, heavy. I just used a bunch of adjectives to describe ice. It was just ice.
Like glass.
There's glass on everything. And in a lot of cases, it ripped limbs off of trees. But in a bunch of cases also, you just had trees that were bent over and were sagging. We've got big magnolia trees in our yard. And our first glance at them was like, oh my goodness, they're absolutely destroyed. And there's a lot of damage. There are a lot of limbs that came down, and we're still in the cleanup process. But as the ice melted yesterday, kind of completely melted, not just like a little gust of wind and it would shake and it would look like, all this ice falling from the tree. But as it completely melted, when you step back and look at it, you're like, okay, it's not as bad as I thought it was. Mm-hmm. It's like there's a resiliency with these trees and plants, and not flowers at this point, but bushes and shrubs. And as the ice goes away, they try to kind of perk back up a little bit and take their shape, and that is encouraging. This is a year where spring will be maybe more welcome than it's ever been.
Yeah, even if it's like 38-degree spring. Yeah.
Well, I kind of meant like green grass and flowers and blooms on trees and everything greens up spring. Because it's going to cover up a lot of the ugliness, a lot of the jagged edges on tree limbs that are just there. You lose sight of that. So
I was referencing more just the first sight and expectation of spring coming. It will be so welcomed. And you're right. As it greens up, everything's going to start looking a lot better. But right now, I mean, everybody I've talked to, they continue using the exact same word. War zone, explosion, bomb went off.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter where you are in that vicinity of North Mississippi down the angle. It looks rough, and everybody's saying the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So I don't believe it's over-exaggerated at all, in my opinion. And I haven't seen it firsthand, but man alive. the mess on the interstates yesterday, I really hope that's been cleaned up as well, because that was dangerous.
Well, they gave it a chance to, because they shut the interstates down last night. Mm-hmm. It was about 6 o'clock, give or take. That it may have been earlier than that. Interstate 55 at Batesville. I mean, they shut down both northbound lanes, and we'll get to that a little bit more in the news. But it remains closed and will until 8 o'clock this morning, when they're going to open one lane. Mm-hmm. Going to open just the right lane and try and clear that left lane in the northbound. Southbound was open. If you're trying to get out of Memphis, out of Senatobia, and head south toward Jackson, you're good to go. Now, take it easy still, but that's not the issue. It's the northbound stuff, and then parts of I-22 still closed, eastbound and westbound. It's going to be another decent day from a temperature standpoint that will give much of north and northwest Mississippi, the Delta, a chance to recover with some more melting, some more cleanup time. Ripley, you've got cloudy skies this morning, becoming partly cloudy later in the day. Areas of patchy fog with a high of 48. Morning clouds in Oxford will give way to sunshine for the afternoon. Areas of patchy fog this morning. 49 degrees, light and variable on the winds. Cloudy skies early today in Greenville, then partly cloudy in the afternoon. Patchy fog, 53 for the high. How about our friends in Loosedale? You know you're getting close to the beach when you go through Loosedale.
It's far enough away that you know you're getting there.
That is one of the routes that you can go. Sunshine and clouds mixed in Loosedale, 58 for the high today, with a breeze out of the southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Thomas Paine was born on this day in 1737, the American writer and political essayist, credited with Age of Reason and Common Sense. He was born in Thetford, England. Do you have to read Common Sense?
Oh, yeah.
In somewhere along the way?
Yeah, I think Common Sense, and what was the other one? The Rights of Man or something like that?
Maybe so.
I think that, you had two of them you had to kind of
take Age of Reason is one of the other popular ones. Feels like we could use a reread on Common Sense.
I would guarantee it. It couldn't hurt.
Norris Williams was born in 1891. That's not necessarily a name that you should know. He was an American tennis player that was a two-time national champion, but I thought what stood out, he is a survivor of the RMS Titanic. He was born in Switzerland. Man, to have a story to tell there.
Yeah, you were one of the few that had the story to tell too. I mean, that was such a devastating, and we remember it today. I mean, that was a long time ago too.
Well, but largely because of the movie.
Sure, yeah, but I mean the Titanic. I mean, I guess the name, and there was another ship with it too. Like there was a sister ship, that.
Yeah, we don't remember its name.
Yeah, you don't remember its name, right?
John Forsythe, born in 1918, an actor from the United States. Bachelor, Father, Charlie's Angels, Dynasty. He was born in Penns Grove, New Jersey.
Yeah, what a dude, man. Did pretty much a little of everything, and had a great head of hair all the way through,
Perhaps the greatest mustache to ever exist, 81 years old today. Born in 1945, American actor Tom Selleck.
American treasure.
Rockford Files, Magnum P.I., so many others.
What was the first TV appearance he had? People probably, some folks may know that.
I have no idea.
He was a college senior, and he made an appearance on The Dating Game in 1965 on an episode that originally aired in 67. So, but yeah, he's a dude, one of my favorites. Mr. Baseball, I know people will laugh at me for that movie, but I've seen it 200,000 times, and it is terrible, but it is one of my favorites. So.
It's good. Happy birthday, Tom Selleck. Oprah Winfrey is 72 today. Talk show host, actress, course, the long-running The Oprah Winfrey Show, the movie The Color Purple. She was born in Kosciuszko, right here in Mississippi. I don't know that she spends a whole lot of time claiming Mississippi, but she was born here.
Yeah, don't forget about old Stedman Graham. He's been with her, a long time.
Steady,
Stead, man.
I mean, I would imagine that gravy train's been pretty good to old Stedman. Not that there's not a great deal of love in their partnership. I'm not suggesting otherwise.
Yeah, as of 2026, Forbes has her at $3.2 billion as her net worth.
There you go. On this day in 1594, mathematician John Napier dedicated his plain discovery of the whole revelation of St. John to King James VI, in which he predicted the end of the world in 1688 or 1700. Now, you talk about a swing and a miss.
Yeah, a little math was off there.
Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. Thanks for joining us. Quick time out. We're back with you right after this.
From the Pour yourself a cup of coffee and get the Magnolia State's most important news of the day. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Thanks for starting your day with Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi, presented by Community Bank. Alongside Lance Tolbert, I'm Richard Cross. Glad to be with you this morning. 1595, that's the day that William Shakespeare's play Romeo and Juliet. That's the year. Today is the day. It was thought to have been first performed. It was officially published 2 years later. 2 years later, that play was officially published in 1597. Lance, you want to quote poetry this morning?
I was going to wait for the Raven, brother.
Well, no, that's what I was teeing it up for you.
Oh, yeah. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over the many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore. And you're talking about Lenore in here, a funny story. When I was taking Spanish in college, we all had to get a Spanish name, and the teacher couldn't come up with what Lance was. So they just started calling me Lenore. And I'm like, that's a woman's name, man. That's in the Raven.
You couldn't just be Lasse?
That's what I ended up going with. I said, no, let's go with Guillermo. That's William in Spanish. So, but yeah, I was Lenore for a minute. I'm like, no. I'm not a forgotten love.
1845, the American writer Edgar Allan Poe's poem The Raven, first published in the Evening Mirror newspaper in New York. 1886, Carl Benz patents the Benz patent motor wagon. Did so in Germany. It was the world's first automobile with an internal combustion engine. Pretty significant advancement in the automobile industry.
Yeah, those things were flying off the shelves, I bet.
In 1920, Walt Disney began work as an artist with KC Slide Company. They paid him $40 a week, which in that time was not bad. Works out to about $2,000 a year. The average annual salary in the United States for a worker in 1920 was about $1,500 a year. In 1924, the Swiss team of Dennis Voucher, Alfred Oftenblatten, Antoine Julin, and Alphonse Julin won the Military Patrol gold medal at the Chamonix Winter Olympics. It was the first version of the biathlon. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. The Military Patrol gold medal.
I just, guns and skis.
Yeah, definitely. That's some James Bond stuff.
How about this first class in the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame in 1936? 4 members, all, 5 members, all of them deserving, I would say. Ty Cobb, Babe Ruth, Honus Wagner, Christy Mathewson, Walter Johnson.
Walter Three-Finger Johnson.
That was a crew right there.
Man, and you can imagine Ty Cobb was probably in a good mood.
I don't know if I'd go out on that. I'd go that far.
He's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. He's still kind of ornery.
A couple of other things from this day in history. 1963, Jim Thorpe, Red Grange, and George Halas were elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. In 1964, Dr. Strangelove, directed by Stanley Kubrick, starring Peter Sellers and George C. Scott, premiered.
Great movie.
In the year 2000, Karl Malone with the Utah Jazz became the 3rd player in NBA history to score 30,000 points in his career. He finished with 35 on that night in a loss to Minnesota. He trailed, at that point, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar with 38,387 points, and Wilt Chamberlain, who had 41,419.
Well, you got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You remember his original name?
Lou Alcindor.
There you go, man. One of the greatest names of all time.
2012, American snowboarder Shaun White achieved the first ever Super Pipe perfect score, a 100 in Winter X Games history. Watched just, 10 minutes of the Super Pipe on X Games the other night, and
looks fun.
Man, what those guys pull off in the half pipe is incredible.
I went out to Colorado once and did some snowboarding. I'm pretty decent at snowboarding, but watching the people hit the half pipes and that, I was just sitting there like a baby. It's like, what is this again?
I want to go up one side and down the other. These flips, forget about it.
Just sit down and slide on your booty, because that's impressive when you see it firsthand and how high they go, man. It's like if you bust, that's ice.
Yeah,
like concrete you're hitting.
And can you believe it's been 1 year ago today, when the United States Army helicopter practicing night vision flying crashed midair into a commercial jet, killing all 67 passengers, including dozens of figure skaters and crew members, over the Potomac River while approaching Reagan National Airport in D.C. And the scenes from that were just horrific. All right, news headlines for you this morning as Mississippi tries to thaw out after Winter Storm Fern's tear before another cold front makes its way into the state this weekend. Governor Tate Reeves provided an update on the current damage count from the state's largest ice storm in over 3 decades. He was joined by other state officials during an afternoon press conference yesterday. Reeves confirmed the number of 10 fatalities, at least 14 injuries, but predicts that those numbers are going up. Prior to the press conference, he had confirmed 7 deaths across Alcorn, Hinds, LaFleur, Tate, and Tishomingo counties. 3 additional deaths not expounded on by the governor. However, the Mississippi Insurance Department confirmed that there were fire-related deaths in Adams, Jefferson, and Lincoln counties as residents were trying to stay warm amid frigid conditions. Other numbers shared: over 100,000 residents and businesses still without power. At one point, that number was 180,000. 51 counties, 37 municipalities reporting damage, including at least 208 homes that have been impacted. I'm sure that number is much higher. 40 counties have requested assistance from the state, and those numbers also expected to go up as damage assessments continue. Major traffic jams on Interstate 55 and Interstate 22 that began on Tuesday and stretched throughout the day yesterday have been mostly cleared up, according to the governor, but with significant icing on many northern roadways, still encouraging people to stay home if possible. Sean Tyndall, the commissioner with the Department of Public Safety, said that both lanes of I-55 being shut down by barricade at the Batesville exit, both lanes of I-22 shut down between Red Bank and State Line, and those are expected to reopen sometime this morning. 8 o'clock is what I was told. I don't know if that's been officially announced. A quote from Tyndall: "This is to make sure motorists do not get stranded overnight in deadly conditions without heat and gas and other supplies. If anybody chooses to get out there around the barricades, I want you to know you are doing so at your own risk. Ole Miss announced yesterday that it will remain closed for another week. Campus operations suspended outside of some of the workers on campus until February 8th. Announced that the campus closure includes the cancellation of all classes, events, and activities. There was an Ole Miss women's basketball game that was scheduled to take place tonight in the SJV Pavilion on campus. That's been moved to Friday afternoon at Legacy Arena in Birmingham. No official word yet has been given about the Ole Miss men's basketball game against Vanderbilt scheduled for Saturday night. Chancellor Glenn Boyce reported that icy conditions in the Oxford area have had an ongoing impact on students and staff who live off campus, including loss of power, internet, cell service, and water. As of yesterday afternoon, more than 16,000 power outages were reported in Lafayette County alone. I think that number is actually higher than that. That may have been, well, maybe that's a combination of the city and the Northeast Power customers. So, dangerous road conditions remain. It's a little slick in places. Roads are so much better than they were. So we will keep an eye on that. President Donald Trump has signed an appropriations bill that directs funding to the long-anticipated Yazoo Pumps project and repairs to Arcabutla Lakes Dam. Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith made the announcement yesterday that $184.1 million of more than $57 billion out of the fiscal year 26 Energy and Water Development Appropriation Bill will go to 30 authorized Army Corps of Engineer projects in Mississippi, $49 million to the Yazoo Backwater Pumps Project, nearly $22 million to Arcabutla. More than 80 years after the federal government approved plans to protect the South Delta area from flooding, a plan to build pumps along the Yazoo Backwater appear to be coming to fruition. Officials with the Army Corps of Engineers reached a landmark record of decision last year, marking a significant milestone in that project. 8 decades is a long time to follow through on what you say you're going to do, but hopefully that is now on the way. And North Mississippi is getting a new area code, 471. Will overlay the existing 662 area code region, including communities South Haven, Tupelo, Greenwood, Greenville, Oxford, Horn Lake, Starkville, Columbus, Corinth, and surrounding areas.
Shaping Mississippi politics each morning. Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk, Mississippi.
Headline to give you this morning before we move to the morning sports update presented by Pearl River Resort. You can find them online at pearlriverresort.com. Pearl River Resort, your home for family fun, casino thrills, and live entertainment. Legislation that would have consolidated 6 of Mississippi's community colleges failed to advance in the state's House of Representatives. After receiving widespread pushback, especially from leaders at Southwest Mississippi Community College, House Bill 1284 was rejected by a majority of the Chamber's University and Colleges Committee. The Universities and Colleges Committee. That was yesterday, meaning that it will not be brought to the House floor for a vote. The legislation was drafted by Representative Trey Lamar, the Republican from Senatobia and chair of the Appropriations Committee. It's going to merge nearly half of the 15 community colleges in Mississippi. Per the text of the bill, Coahoma Community College would have been absorbed by Mississippi Delta Community College. Meridian would have been absorbed by East Mississippi, and Southwest Mississippi Community College would have been absorbed by Colin. Yesterday, Dr. Wendy Smith, the Associate Vice President for Workforce Training at Southwest, said House Bill 1284 is dead, all caps. She went on to say the bill did not make it out of the House Universities and Colleges Committee. This was a big win for Southwest. She says, we have the greatest community in the country. We spoke up and were heard. The justification for the bill, according to Representative Lamar, was to start a conversation about administrative costs at the community college level in Mississippi, where he believes unnecessary expenditures could be trimmed. The process by which he selected the 6 schools included in the bill was based on geography, the number of students enrolled at each of the community colleges that would have been affected, and the populations of the regions that they serve. There are a lot of folks that were very much against the idea of taking 6 of the community colleges and turning them into 3. A lot of community identity in some of those schools, and passionate folks about that, pleased to dodge the bullet of going down that road. All right, so here's your morning sports update brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Mississippi State got back in the win column last night in basketball after a 5-game SEC skid. The Bulldogs went on the road to Baton Rouge and got a 14-point win over LSU. Mississippi State rolled in the first half of that game. They were ahead 44-21, a 23-point lead at halftime. Despite being outscored by 9 in the second half, Bulldogs get the win 80-66. Josh Hubbard was the leading scorer for Mississippi State, 15 points. 6 of those 15 points coming from the free throw line. Quincy Ballard made all 5 of his shots and was 3 of 4 from the free throw line to go along with 9 rebounds. So 13 points and 9 boards last night for Quincy Ballard. Jabari McGee had 11. He was in double figures. And Sergei Mashara had 10 points in 28 minutes. So the Bulldogs are now 3-5 in SEC play. They move to 11-10 overall. LSU falls to 1-7 in the SEC. LSU had 4 players in double figures, led by Max McKinnon, who had 15 points in the ballgame. That was not the only SEC basketball game last night. An absolute steamrolling in Columbia, South Carolina. Number 19 Florida moved to 6-2 in conference play with a 95-48 win over the Gamecocks. It took overtime in Athens, but Tennessee put together an impressive comeback to win 86-85 over the Georgia Bulldogs. Tennessee moves to 4-3 in conference play. Georgia falls to 4-4. And Auburn was able to defend the home floor. They were down by 8 at the half, 42-34. Outscored Texas by 14 in the second half en route to the 88-82 victory. Texas falls to 3-5 in the conference. Auburn, meanwhile, is 5-3 under first-year head coach Stephen Pearl. Last night in the NBA, you had LeBron James and the Lakers going back to the former team, the team where it all began for LeBron. That's the Cleveland Cavaliers. No definitive statement by LeBron after a loss that the Lakers had to the Cavs as to whether or not that was his final game that would be played in Cleveland. But he did not say that there wasn't either. He said, I'm just trying to take everything in, not trying to take moments for granted. James was moved to tears during a first quarter tribute video that went back to the 2007 Eastern Conference Finals when, as a 22-year-old, LeBron James scored 48 points, including 25 straight to finish the game, beating the favored Pistons in double overtime and going on to take Cleveland to its first NBA Finals. So a special moment for LeBron and his people in that game last night. In Tuscaloosa, the judge in Alabama's men's basketball player Charles Bediaco's eligibility lawsuit has recused himself from the case. He is a circuit court judge in Tuscaloosa. James Roberts filed the order yesterday. AL.com first reported the story. The case was reassigned to Judge Daniel Pruitt, who is an Alabama graduate, and is overseeing the murder case involving former Crimson Tide player Darius Miles. The NCAA, who is claiming that Bediaco, who has had a contract with the NBA. He's played in the G League. They filed a motion requesting recusal, noting that the former judge's donations to the University of Alabama, as well as public perception that his relationship with Alabama athletics could alter his judgment in the case. That was cited by the NCAA. Roberts was listed as a donor to the Crimson Tide Foundation on its website. The NCAA wrote in its filing, courts in Alabama and beyond have widely recognized that a mere appearance of partiality is sufficient to require the recusal of a trial judge. This appearance can be compounded by widespread media and public scrutiny questioning the trial court's impartiality, despite the NCAA's confidence that the court can disregard his connections to the University of Alabama and its athletics programs. Recusal is still necessary to protect these proceedings. The attorney for Charles Bediako did not oppose the motion. Bediako is suing the NCAA in an attempt to regain college eligibility despite leaving school and entering the 2023 NBA draft. He went undrafted but signed a two-way NBA contract that would allow him to go back and forth from the NBA to the G League. He played the last 3 seasons in the G League, but he played for Alabama this past Saturday in their win over Tennessee. Alabama plans to play him again this Sunday when they travel to number 19 Florida.
That's crazy.
It really is a crazy time when you can say, I'm done with college, enter the NBA draft.
Yeah, 3 years ago.
3 years ago, not get drafted, but play professionally in the G League, and then go, I want to go back and finish out my college eligibility.
Man.
By the way, he was really, really good. Go figure.
He's like 26 now?
Yeah, the 3-year pro was good when he came back and played in a college game against Tennessee.
Sounds fair. Yeah.
Does it now? Suppose that calls into question your definition of fair.
Yeah, definitely.
So that is what is happening in the world of sports, or at least a snapshot of it. Your daily sports update is brought to you by Pearl River Resort. One of these days, it's going to feel warm enough to play golf again. And when it does, you want to make sure that Dancing Rabbit is on your list. Dancing Rabbit Golf Club, a pair of championship courses, the Oaks and the Azaleas, part of Pearl River Resort. Book your tee time online at dancingrabbitgolf.com. That's dancingrabbitgolf.com. Dancing Rabbit, part of Pearl River Resort. We, like yesterday, we are trying to be very topical in our guest list, and that's what we've got for you today. To start the 7 o'clock hour, Harold Pittman is going to join us. He is the general manager with Delta Electric Power Association. We'll get an update from the coverage area of Delta Electric, find out how they are coming in terms of recovery and restoring power to all of their customers. As promised yesterday, Brad White from the Mississippi Department of Transportation will join us once again with an update on road conditions, especially those on Interstates 55 and 22 in North Mississippi. Charles Watson, who we had a chance to visit with last week leading into this winter storm from Spire. He's Senior Vice President of Network Operations, will be with us in the 8 o'clock hour. And then later in the 8 o'clock hour, we'll talk with Jonathan Powers. He is an agency manager with the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Companies. We'll talk with him about how the winter storm affected many of the Farm Bureau members and how, if you have damage, you can begin the claims process. That's all coming up this morning. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. We'll get an update from the Mississippi Lottery coming up next.
Mornings with Richard Cross here on Super Talk Mississippi.
What else?
And always on the Super Talk app.
Good to be back with you on this What is today? Thursday? Thursday morning, the 29th of January. Thanks for joining us. Forgive me, I'm a little off on what day it is. I was thinking driving in this morning that, man, it was a week ago today, right at the end of the show, where this kind of all started, at least for me. I think Thursday was the day that, in my house, we kind of started taking this seriously, and then spent most of Thursday and Friday kind of trying to prepare and get fuel ready and find a generator and all of those things. So much of the craziness has been going on for a week now. But you heard the music, and that means that it is time for your Mississippi Lottery update. No jackpot winner last night with the Powerball drawing. The numbers are 21, 35, 40, 46, and 68 with a Powerball of 11 and the Power Play multiplier of 10. That means Saturday's jackpot is up to $57 million with an estimated cash value of almost $26 million. Before you get to that Saturday night Powerball drawing, you've got a Friday night Mega Millions drawing. $303 million is the jackpot number with an estimated cash value of about $137 million. That would be handy. Is that understating it just a little bit?
Oh, yeah,
that would be handy to have that in your pocket. Tuesday night's numbers yielded no winners. 4, 20, 38, 56, 66. The mega ball was 5. And a reminder, I told you about this yesterday, the Mississippi Lottery is kicking off February with 3 new scratch-off games led by the new $2 The Three Stooges ticket, featuring 6 collectible designs of Moe, Larry, and Curly, with top prizes up to $25,000. Also launching on February 3rd, it's the $1 Rapid Refund with top prizes of $5,000 and $5 Lady Luck $100,000 top prize. Those Three Stooges ticket start a new bonus promotion awarding more than $125,000 in cash prizes. So be sure to check that out and get your ticket today at your local Mississippi Lottery retailer. Stay up to date with everything that is happening at the Mississippi Lottery on their website, mslottery.com. I told you what's coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. We are scheduled to visit with Harold Pittman to start things off, General Manager with Delta Electric Power Association. Brad White from MDOT, Charles Watson from Spire, and Jonathan Powers from Mississippi Farm Bureau. Mexican restaurant last night, Lance. I know that's nice. In your wheelhouse.
Yes, sir.
I think we saw everybody that we currently know or ever have known at dinner last night. Had a big crew there, and that was the case for a lot of folks. Kind of people trying to hang together and offer support to each other and share a meal is a neat deal, but conversation came up during dinner last night, especially for a lot of people where I live. I live in Oxford, but really all over the state. Man, think about the life experiences that have happened since Christmas Day. Really going back just a few days before that, since the 20th of December. So we're at January 29th. You had Ole Miss playing in its first college football playoff game, a game that they hosted and won. And then you had Christmas. And then you had what seemed like 40,000 Ole Miss fans that made their way to New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl and saw that crazy epic game against Georgia that Ole Miss won. And then you had another, 35,000 folks that made their way across the country to Phoenix for the Fiesta Bowl. You've had the college basketball season begin. And you also have had this major winter storm that has hit the northern part of the state of Mississippi and has been just crippling. That's a lot to cram into a month and a week. And makes you kind of wonder what the rest of 2026 looks like. Yeah, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. for
all within a week. Yeah.
We're going poetry this morning, like Lance did earlier when he decided to quote part of The Raven.
The Raven.
Yeah.
Everybody remembers those two lines, too, I think.
Yeah. Man, a lot of stuff, and a lot more on the way with you. Appreciate you starting your day with us. The C Spire text line is open, 601-879-4395. David Ripley says, well, I'm running so bathwater. Just put my fire on for coffee. Got my chainsaw running yesterday. Cut lots of limbs so I could get out of my driveway so I don't have to go through the yard. But thankful for the things that I have. That's a good place to be. If you look, you don't have to look far to find things that we all still can be thankful for. 7 o'clock hour on the way. The news is next. This is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi, presented by Community Bank. Online at communitybank.net, rooted in our community.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Now in the street there is violence, and none allowed to solve the
7 o'clock hour. It is Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank. At Community Bank, we're more than just a place to manage your money. We're your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors. For decades, we've been rooted in our community, helping families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams. Whether it's opening your first savings account, planning for a brighter future, or growing your business, we're here every step of the way. We're dedicated to our customers, committed to your success, and always here when you need us. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC. Appreciate you being with us this morning. We remind you that the C Spire text line is open at 601-879-4395. We're happy to be joined by Harold Pittman this morning. He is the general manager at the Delta Electric Power Association. Harold, appreciate some of your time and what I know has been a busy, 5, 6, 7 days, maybe even longer than that, preparing for the storm coming in and now the aftermath of it. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on, Richard.
Let's just jump right in.
It's been pretty good around here. So.
Yeah, certainly a lot going on. So Delta Electric covers at least parts of Atala, Bolivar, Carroll, Choctaw, Grenada, Holmes, Humphreys, LaFleur, Montgomery, Sunflower, Tallahatchie, Washington, Webster counties. That's a pretty big service area.
Yeah, we're a landmass. We're a large cooperative. I always say we go from the river all the way to Stewart, as north as Shelby, Mississippi, far south, Bowling Green, Lexington, that area. Large area. Not a lot of people live here. We're about 4 customers a mile, so we're about as rural of an electric cooperative as there is out there.
And certainly that presents its own challenges. So talk to us about the service area, where you are right now, where you've got major outages, where it feels like stuff is starting to come back on.
Sure. I can tell you, the storm hit us Friday night, really started coming in. We were watching it, and for the longest time, we were having some problems, and I thought we might make it. And then Saturday morning, it was a large storm came through, and the freezing rain really started bringing things down. We operate out of 4 districts, and they kind of, they operate under our chief engineer, Jeremiah Seal. But Indianola is going to be western LaFleur County, Sunflower County, back toward Washington, in that area. They fared pretty good. They're really finishing up in those areas now, so they're pretty close. West of the Weeks over there is taking care of that for us. Above that is Cleveland. That's the district office there. Chad Summers is run the operations there, and I talked to Chad late yesterday, and I said, "Can you see the light at the end?" He said, "Yeah, we're making some progress." So I feel like those 2 areas, that's going to be pretty much everything west of Greenwood is getting really close in those areas. Greenwood and the Greenwood district, the Winona district, that's going to, Greenwood's going to be LaFleur, the other half of LaFleur, Carroll, some of Grenada, Holmes, in that area hit pretty hard. We have a lot of crews working there. Mike Oliver's taking care of that. And then we got Winona is going to be the other side of Carroll, more Grenada, and Tala, all that area back that way. And I may miss a county or two, but it's all 13 counties in there. But yeah, we're going to start moving some of this equipment. I shared this on our Facebook page last night. We're going to start moving some of these guys, to the eastern side of the system. So much of that area we couldn't even get to early on. With the trees coming down. I know one of our sister co-ops, I saw a post on their feed where a tree fell on the truck with the guy. And
oh, goodness.
I contacted that manager over there, and he said the guy was okay. And that was late. I think it was Friday night. Again, the days are running together for me right now. But
I understand that. I promise.
I told him, I said, we pulled we pulled our guys back in, as I told him that, and he said he had pulled his in. You just can't work in those conditions. We have preached safety. We want to get everybody home safe after this event is over. So that's a real priority for us is keeping the men safe. And as far as the restoration, I did share this last night. I think we're within a week on the eastern side of the system. We actually have a few more crews coming in today, heavy track equipment, those things. And we have a lot of that out there now. So much of this, in these rural areas, you're in, the lines are out in the woods, basically. So, I mean, you're not on the side of a road. So it takes specialized equipment to do that. Some of these subdivisions, there's several here around Greenwood, they're finishing up in those. And, those present different problems because they're in the backyards, a lot of them. There's fences you can't get the equipment into. Those are climbed. I mean, the guys got to get up there and climb and put the wire back. So those have some issues too there, but we're working through all that. And, we know how to do this. I mean, that's what I keep assuring everybody. This is not our first ice storm, and this definitely won't be our last one. Yesterday, I kind of sat back and was just watching how things were working. When we get in these events, everybody takes on a little different role. The ladies in accounting are helping answer the phones, or they were packing the meals last night. We have some amazing vendors that are helping us do this. Larry's Catfish cooked for us last night. A lot of the Marketplace, Lenny's Sub Shop, Lou's. I'm just going to read a couple of the Takery, By the Bridge Bistro, Mississippi Food Services have been great, and even Arkansas Electric, one of our hardware vendors, is going to cook for us one day, and Capital Beverage here in town's letting us use our cooler to store everything. So our community is really supporting our efforts, and that is greatly appreciated. I've let everybody know materials are not an issue for us. We keep a large contingent here. Our vendors like, Irby and Arkansas Electric, Howard Industries, Mississippi Tennessee Transformer, all those guys. I mean, as soon as we take things out, we're getting the shelves stocked right back. So that, material is not an issue. And I've shared we have the manpower to get everything there. I mean, we just need a little time to get out there. Some of these, I shared how many trees are laying on the lines. We have a large group of guys, the right-of-way guys out there using I'm not sure if you're familiar with what we call a giraffe. It's a large piece of machinery with a boom on it and a saw basically at the end of it. So we've got those machines going down the lines right now, sawing it's mostly pines, seem like, those, when the weight gets on top of them, lay down on it. So we're getting all that off. And then, of course, the construction crews are coming right behind them, putting it back up.
So you talk about manpower.
On the strip, we know. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, when you talk about manpower, are these just your guys, or do you have other contract crews that are coming in to help where you've got multiple groups?
I always say one of the big things about being a member of an electric cooperative is our other sister cooperatives, that when one of us is in trouble, they come and help. We have mutual aid agreements with everybody. Southern Pine Electric, and they're down in Taylorsville. They sent a large group up here, so we got a lot of Southern Pine linemen here. MDR is a contractor we use. Danny Lewis is kind of over them for us, and Danny might as well wear a Delta Electric hat. He's been with us so long, but we have a lot of MDR crews and all that. I mean, we fed 350. I know the night before last, I didn't get the count for yesterday, but I feel like we're going to be 400 people out there right now, today. So that's as many people as we've had working here at one time since I've been here, and I'm going on 31 years here now. So I know 94, I think we had closer to 1,000 at one point during that event. But it's the equipment's so much different now. I mean, this track equipment revolutionized how you do a lot of the construction now. So I mean, you can really get to everything you need to.
One of the questions that people have had, and maybe this is a better conversation a couple of weeks from now or a month from now, when you look back when this is all said and done, you always want to get better and you want to be more prepared the next time it comes along. Is there anything you could have done differently or that other co-ops or electric companies could have done differently to be ready for this? Or is an ICE event like this something where you just have to wait?
Well, we've been preparing my whole career here for these things. We do pole inspections. We go around checking everything, constantly changing that out. Right away. That's one of our biggest expenses. We have cutting the right of way, keeping it cut back from the power lines. We have a rotation. We're cutting, I think, about every year most of these circuits out, and we have a herbicide program too that comes right behind them and gets the vegetation on the ground. So I mean. We're prepared. I mean, and that's not something we did last week. That's something that's been ongoing for years and years. I know some people talk about underground lines versus overhead. There's pros and cons with both of them. Obviously, the underground is way more expensive. I mean, so do you spend that kind of money to put it underground for an event that happens once every 5 or 10 years? I mean, those are the things you got to weigh back and forth with some of those things. But you're always improving, and so.
We're up against the break. Last thing, I just want to go back to what you said. Do you think kind of across the service area a week is about the timeline to be back to full capacity?
I think so. I think we're going to be close, 4 or 5 to 7 days out.
Sounds good.
And it's really just how close you are to the substation. And then when this is over, I know some of our co-ops north of us are going to need help, and we're going to send our guys to help them. So everything will start getting closer and closer to being completed.
Harold, I appreciate your time this morning. Thank you for the update.
All right, thank you.
From Sumner to Summit to Summerall, Richard has something for you. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Reminder for you, the 7 o'clock hour every day is brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business is tough, and if you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, you're not alone. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They can provide a full range of employer services plus a custom plan that fits you. Call them today, 601-206-7966, or go to MWGEmployerServices.com. Brad White joins us now. He is the executive director of the Mississippi Department of Transportation, and he has been a busy man the last few days trying to keep up with all that is going on the roads, the highways, the byways across the state of Mississippi, certainly with a focus on the northern part of the state for the last few days. Brad, good morning to you.
Good morning, Richard. Hope you're doing well.
I am. Thank you. Appreciate your time and for jumping on with us again. So much focus yesterday on interstates 55 and 22, with 55 kind of Batesville north toward DeSoto County, and then I guess east of DeSoto County working into Marshall County on I-22. I know you shut things down in some places last night. Did that allow the Highway Patrol and MDOT to get I-55 cleared of cars that were stranded completely?
I believe on 22 there's still some cars in the queue. I mean, you still have individuals that are making every effort to get on the interstates, even in the areas where it's, quote unquote closed. That still continues to be a battle. I do think it's my understanding that the Highway Patrol is working with some towing companies this morning that's going to be working to help move traffic. I know yesterday We had a lot of cooperation from Mother Nature in the way of sunshine and above freezing temperatures, and the crews were able to get enough done that traffic was beginning to move. But again, it was at kind of a creep in both of those areas. So progress was made in the way of getting people out. It's my understanding that there are no passenger vehicles there. We're primarily looking at 18-wheelers, other types of packaging vans and things like that are involved in a lot of that. So I think it continues a little bit up there, but we're hoping that today we're going to have another day of good weather. We're supposed to have temperatures above freezing, for an extended period today. As I've said from the beginning, that's our best friend. That allows us to be able to put the material down on the salt that helps with the sunshine and the temperatures of turning it into a slush that can then be plowed off and removed. And that hopefully will bring about the relief that we've been wanting. We had available crews in that area yesterday all day and into the night. We had pulled some off of other areas in North Mississippi to focus on these routes that had so much of tension and so much highly volumed traffic, along with the crews that had been there. With having a day of good weather, we were able to get the right lane of 55 north through Panola, Tate County into DeSoto County open. That at 8 o'clock, the Highway Patrol will be opening that back up for through traffic. Our crews will be dealing with that left lane that's still got some ice and winter material on it. Yesterday, both lanes of the southbound lane of 55 were open, and we're able to have traffic get on them. We've got crews going over to 22. We engaged some private contractors to help bring some equipment in that stayed on 55 in DeSoto County north and southbound lane along I-269 and some of the other arteries in that area. I want to remind you, I mean, that still, I know that area has gotten a lot of attention, but that's not the only place that was impacted by this ice storm. I mean,
right.
We're talking about an area that goes from the Mississippi River all the way over to the Alabama line. We've got over 15,000 lane miles of affected highway in that area, over 3,000 bridges. We've still got crews in the Mississippi Delta working to get 61 and others from passable to usable, along with other arteries there, East Mississippi, Tippah County area, Alcorn County. So this was a wide-ranging storm, and we've had crews working, getting everything back open in the whole area. Today we'll have crews in the part that everybody's attention is on. We're going to have crews handling Highway 72 in Marshall and Benton County, hitting passes on 269 and 302 along that way. We've got a crew that'll be a separate crew that'll be on a separate section of 72 doing that. We've got forces from South Mississippi that'll be on I-269, crews that'll be continue to handling these trouble spots we've got on 55 and 69, 61, the rest of I-22. We've got some private companies involved that are also going to be on some of those same routes in different areas along with Highway 302. We've had some crews working into the night, and they'll continue working today on sections of 55. So our goal is by the end of our work period today, when the temperatures go back to freezing and our ability to do things are inhibited, that we've made enough progress to get everything as back open as possible. The weather looks like it's going to cooperate with us, and so I'm expecting for a positive day.
Visiting with Brad White, Executive Director at the Mississippi Department of Transportation. You mentioned that the Highway Patrol closed Interstate 55 last night at Batesville, and that was going north into Tate County. And I'm not sure how far north that closure went, but trying to keep traffic off. Opening at 8 o'clock this morning, but that's right lane only. What does that look like when you're trying to clear the left lane, but you've got traffic going in the right lane?
Our folks will be used to that. I mean, it's where most of our people describes our offices. I mean, that's basically a work zone.
Yeah.
Where traffic will be driving through right next to where our people are working. I mean, with the winter conditions, it's going to be more important for people to be safe and cautious and as patient as possible. Some of the the worst things that can happen in this type of weather is people get impatient and try to go around somebody or do something that gets themselves stuck or gets traffic stalled. That's part of what the problem has been in the last couple of days that we've seen. But that's going to kind of be part of it, We have to have cooperation from the public as best we can, as I mentioned. I mean, although that these lanes and these sections of interstate were closed to try to keep traffic from building on, we still had some that were continuing to get on it. So we'll just deal with the cards that are dealt us and make the best of it. But luckily, I do think that with the equipment and the people that we've got on the ground, and with us moving in yesterday and today to temperatures for such an extended period of time that it gives us something to work with, I expect us to be able to continue making big strides. And we made a lot of headway yesterday. I mean, if you were able to look on our cameras or anybody that went through there, I mean, the right lane, we were able to get it completely open, and, as well as southbound on 55 sections through DeSoto County. 22 continues to be a concern due to the amount of traffic that was still on it and our inability of getting equipment there. When we've got people on the roads and stuff like that, it does impair our ability to treat the roads and to get on with the type of equipment we've got to have. But we'll work through that today and hopefully we'll continue to make progress.
Where on 22 is the biggest area of concern? Is it in that corridor from DeSoto County into Marshall County?
Yeah, I think you're looking at Red Banks of north into the state line, basically. Okay. I believe I'm right that that's the area the Highway Patrol was looking at trying to close down.
Okay.
And trying to keep people from getting into that queue. I don't know how successful that we were with that. I know that we kept a lot of people from it. But that's probably the problem area, on that route.
Gotcha.
Right now.
You told us yesterday that you were going to experiment a little bit with cold planers, I believe it is, the big asphalt milling machines. Did that work?
No, I mean, luckily, like I said, when the temperature got to a point where we could put salt and continue putting the material on that would help with the sunshine and melting the salt, then you had motor graders that would go through.
So you didn't need to grind the ice.
Slush off, and then the snowplow right behind the motor grader. And so we never really had a need of that. That was when we were kind of just throwing everything against the wall, so to speak, to see what would stick in the event that temperatures didn't cooperate. But yesterday we had some good weather above freezing for a period of time that allowed us to get a lot of accomplished in that way. And from the forecast that I've been made aware of today, I think today should be better. So I feel like we'll be able to get a lot done.
Does this feel like a race against the clock for you and your team, Brad, knowing that the weather's going to cooperate today, tomorrow is going to be okay, but then there's another pretty major cold front that's coming in Friday, Saturday?
It does. I mean, we've got a period of time that things will be more ideal than they're going to be, and we've got a lot to accomplish in that period of time. And as I've said from the beginning, that so much of what we do is reactionary. I mean, we have to deal with what the weather is going to do. We're going to have to deal with how traffic flows through that area and what impairments that may cause. And but our folks are used to that, and we've got a lot of. I can't say enough about our guys that are out on the road doing it. I mean, I want to point out that we've got people from our district engineers down into the maintenance crews that still do not have power at their home.
Brad, we're up against
their
the clock.
Families and everything and have been spending all their time is sleeping in.
Segment of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Morning, partner. The sun is up, the coffee is on, and you're starting your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross here on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Not to have to drop it, men are not to cry. So how am I to stop it? Keep it.
No, we ran up against the break there at the end with Brad White from MDOT, kind of finishing up his thought. He was talking about the sacrifice that the crews that are working for MDOT almost around the clock right now are making. And he said, look, this is their job. We understand that. They understand that. But it is important to remember he was just kind of saluting the job that they are doing because they've had to leave their homes and their families behind to try and clear the roads. And he called them public servants of the highest order. And certainly agree with that statement and well said. He also said that there would be kind of an after-action review, much like what Rodney Hall talked about yesterday, with all the stakeholders involved, where they examine what they did well, and also where they can be better in the future. And certainly that is an important piece of that, is you learn from the things that go well, but also the things that you need to do better. It's one of the things that we'll talk with our friend Charles Watson from Spire about when we visit as well, because their processes for a long time have been based on you go through a difficult situation, you do the best you can, and then you immediately examine what you did, how you did it, why you did it, what worked, and what needs improving, and then you put those policies in place moving forward. So you certainly hope that that's happening at every level in this, at the state level, at the MEMA level, at the MDOT level, but also at the local level, whether you're talking about Greenwood or Senatobia or Oxford or Ripley or Tishomingo County, wherever it is that you're talking about. Hopefully everybody is doing the best they can in the moment, and people are being as patient as they can. And when this is all over, there are a lot of meetings, not meetings for the sake of meetings, but meetings to make sure that the plans you had in place were good and where they can be improved for the future. Lance, have you seen the video floating around that TVA put out? It's a couple of days old now, but one of the issues that even the cooperatives were having early on was that there were a couple of major transmission lines for TVA that were down. The video that I'm talking about is the guy who is he is sitting on the skid of the helicopter, and the helicopter is hovering at the top of one of those big transmission support towers, and he's working on it.
Yeah, I saw it yesterday. Yeah, that was crazy, huh?
Brother, I don't know what that man makes in terms of compensation, but I'm going to go out on a limb, not going out on a helicopter skid. I'll go out on a limb and say it's not enough.
No, and you got to ground that thing, and that helicopter's floating around up there in 30, 40-mile-an-hour winds, and you got a dude hanging on. And I mean, it's wild what they're going through and what they have to. I've seen some of the videos out west where they, in the mountains where they have to fly to do it, but it just puts a different perspective on it when you see it going on close to home.
One of the cool helicopter videos I've seen is when a ski resort puts a new lift in, and they have to set those massive poles. They go in, they prep the base or the foundation for them, and then they have to set the poles in. They get those big, 2-inch bolts coming up out of them. You have to screw the nuts down on them. But they set those poles with helicopters.
Yeah.
You watch one of those things kind of going through the mountains, and that deal's swinging, and it kind of settles in, and it's incredible. There's
helicopters
some really
amaze
talented people out there.
Yeah, helicopters amaze me. Hearing Mary Whedon talk about them, because she was up in the skycopter for so long. But I mean, I've been up in one helicopter when I was a kid, and I've flown a lot in small planes. But a helicopter's a whole different ball game. And even the pilots there, I mean, just holding that baby steady, making sure that people can get the work done. I mean, that's a skill set I don't have, brother.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Somebody said there is no amount of money that someone could pay me to do that job. Hats off to him, though.
Yeah.
No, if that impresses you, you need to look up high-pressure washing of high-voltage lines from a helicopter.
I will do that, yes.
We'll check. I mean, are we talking like running a pressure washer from a helicopter to clean the lines?
I'm copy and pasting that one directly into Google as soon as it says, yeah.
Somebody not entirely pleased with some of the coordination for power restoration south of Indianola. It's tough for a lot of folks. For a lot of folks. Hold on a second. This says the offer still stands. I didn't know there was an offer on the table. We get a message that says the offer stands for us to come to Airbus Helicopters in Columbus for a tour.
Oh, I'm in. I didn't know we had that opportunity.
I would love that.
Yeah. I'll take a day off.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Is this a factory tour or an air tour?
Yeah. Either way.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to see how they're made and built and learn more. All right, we got to get that on the calendar.
And by the way, I'm watching the hot washing the insulators of a $500,000 volt power line. It's wild, man. I mean,
is it from a helicopter?
Yeah. It's a one in England, but yeah, it's the same thing he's talking about. It's wild, man. Woo.
Yeah.
I'm in though. Bring me up, Scotty. I'm in. I want to go to the facility. I'll go up in the helicopter. I won't get out on the line though. Definitely. Goodness gracious, that's crazy.
The Blueberry Farm on 49 going toward Hattiesburg used helicopters one year to force warm air down to keep the hundreds of acres of blueberries from freezing.
Wow. I remember when I was a kid, we were playing high school baseball. We had a big game, and it rained and rained and rained.
Yes, I know what you're going to say.
They parked the helicopter on the pitcher's mound, turned that thing on, and, man, that water blew off of there. We got to play ball.
I've seen that before. We have a helicopter come in and kind of hover over an outfield to try and get the water out.
That was the coolest thing. I was probably like 13 or 14. You can do this?
All right, so that's a manufacturing and maintenance facility for Airbus helicopters in Columbus. I'm in.
I am in. Yeah.
Absolutely would like to do that. A 77-pound mountain lion set off a scramble earlier this week as it wandered through San Francisco's wealthy Pacific Heights neighborhood before finally being captured as onlookers safely peered from their home windows or stood across the street. Dozens of officials worked to capture and tranquilize the male cat after warnings were issued advising people to slowly back away if they encountered it. The wild cat was first seen on Monday morning. A lady named Roxanne Blank was being dropped off outside her home around 3 a.m. on Monday when she saw the big cat nonchalantly walking down the streets and going up her apartment stoop about half a mile from where the animal was caught. She said, "I thought it was a dog at first, but then I saw the tail and realized that it's not a dog. Then it tripped a light sensor, and that's when I saw its face and was like, oh, it's a mountain lion." The mountain lion was found Tuesday hiding in garden areas between two apartment buildings. San Francisco Fire Department Lieutenant Mariano Elias said authorities shot the feline with tranquilizers 3 times just to make sure that it was completely unconscious. They covered his eyes, bound its paws to make sure that it wasn't going to run anywhere. The 2-year-old male cougar was tagged and last spotted in Saratoga, about 50 miles south of San Francisco. Cougars, mountain lions, panthers, and pumas are the same cat species, Puma concolor, according to the San Diego Zoo. Experts say that the animal came up along the Pacific coast from the hills south of the city, but they eventually find their way back to the wilderness. Spokesperson for Animal Care and Control said there was no threat to the public. What?
Really?
You got a mountain lion on the apartment doorstep and you're telling me there's no threat? Mountain lions also live in Los Angeles, one of the world's only mega cities of 10 million people or more, where large felines thrive by breeding, hunting, and maintaining territory within urban boundaries. I mean, I guess you do have the mountainous part of Los Angeles. I guess the most famous is the Hollywood sign. It's not really what you think about when you think of Los Angeles, but, man. Can you imagine just, you get home late one night, whether it's from work or being out or whatever, you see something walking along, and, oh, it's a dog, and then you're like, that's not a dog, that's a mountain lion.
Then you run.
Man. California is beautiful, but it has its challenges. Mornings with Richard Cross. We'll wrap up the 7 o'clock hour next.
No matter where you're from, Abbeville, Batesville, D'Iberville, or any other ville in the SIP, you're starting your day off right. Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk, Mississippi.
Glad to be with you. Thanks for joining us. It is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm and SuperTalk TV. A couple of guests coming up in the 8 o'clock hour from C-Spire. Charles Watson going to join us. We'll talk about the work that is ongoing with C-Spire and kind of where they are in terms of their response to the winter storm. I will tell you, this is personal experience, so it's anecdotal. It's not across the board. It's not an official release from C-Spire, but I don't know where my family would have been without our phones. Communication stayed up the entire time. And there were may have been an incident or two where a text message went through as green instead of blue, or a call didn't go through and you had to hang up and make it again. But, man, it was about as close to perfect in a really difficult time as it could get. And that wasn't necessarily the case for every carrier that was out there, but we'll talk more with Charles about how things have gone and are still going as we move forward this morning. Also, in the about half an hour, maybe 40 minutes from right now, we're going to talk to our friends at Farm Bureau. Jonathan Powers, who is an agency manager, is going to get us up to date on what the claims process looks like for Farm Bureau members in the aftermath of this storm that has wreaked so much havoc. You got a couple of things that are happening at the national level, and obviously our attention has been diverted over the last few days. You have I don't even know how you describe what's going on in Minnesota right now. You have a state that is part of the United States of America that is openly and flagrantly flaunting to the federal government that it will not follow federal laws. Saying that to members of this administration, and we're talking about the governor and the mayor of the biggest city in the state of Minnesota. All while protests are happening on a daily basis. 2 people have been killed. And you just have a dangerous situation. And now the backdrop for that, there are calls for Tim Walz to resign as governor. He says he will not. He says that he will not run for re-election. And that decision seemed to be pressured by some of the uncovering of the rampant fraud in Minnesota that has robbed the American people of tens of billions of dollars in taxpayer money. And now you've got Senator Amy Klobuchar announcing that she is going to run for governor in the state of Minnesota, her home state. So you have that story going. You have what appears to be rising, there's always tension, but a heightened level of tension with Iran, with what President Trump described as an armada led by the USS Abraham Lincoln moving into seas in that part of the world, and what appears to be Iran ramping things up from a technology standpoint and an equipment standpoint for conflict, whether it is with the United States or otherwise. You have the ongoing story in Venezuela, which seems to have been tempered the slightest bit, at least for now. You have Jerome Powell, the beleaguered Federal Reserve chairman, making the announcement yesterday that interest rates are going to stay put. The key Fed rate is going to stay put. They're not going to lower interest rates, much to the chagrin of Donald Trump. And you have this ongoing deal with Greenland, where it appears as if Donald Trump and the United States are close to a deal in conjunction with NATO, some of the European countries, Denmark, Greenland, that there is going to be a partnership, and it's going to be a fruitful partnership between the United States and Greenland. I probably missed, just in a quick recap, of a dozen stories that maybe all of us have missed over the course of the last week because we have been focused on freezing rain, pine limbs and magnolia trees that are folded over onto power lines, where to get gas for generators, how to get the lights back on, what the outage maps look like. Whew. Can we all just take a breath just for a second? A lot going on. We try to keep up with all of it, keep you informed, keep you involved, right here on Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. Oh, by the way, the legislature, they're doing their thing too. We're back after this.
All right, now to the important stuff.
Your VIP pass to hear what the most influential Mississippians are talking about.
This is very important.
Huge news. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Eight o'clock hour with you. It is Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi. Thanks for being part of the conversation. The C Spire text line is open to you, 601-879-4395. 601-879-4395. Check out all the deals available at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired. Mornings with Richard Cross is presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, online community.bank.net. Charles Watson joins me now. We talked with Charles a week ago. He is the Senior Vice President of Network Operations at C Spire. Charles, the conversation last Thursday was around preparation and what was coming. We are now on the backside of a major winter storm that had a crippling effect on the northern part of the state of Mississippi, especially northwest Mississippi. How are we doing in terms of C Spire's response to the storm?
Overall, the network has performed very, very well. Obviously, the preparation that was put in play made a real difference. I mean, the planning, the staging, the coordination, the things that happened before the storm, it really allowed us to respond quickly and keep the customers connected. Last week we talked about the reliability of commercial power being one of the most critical factors in keeping a network operation. And as the storm moved through, I mean, we saw a widespread of commercial outages, and we actually saw a number of our sites transition to backup power generator. I think at one point at peak, we had over 200 sites running and operating off a generator.
All right, so generators have to be powered, and some of them are powered by natural gas or propane. Some of them are powered by diesel. Are all of your generators diesel generators?
They're a mix.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, and to your point, generator is only as good as if they stay fueled, which requires that well-coordinated logistic planning. And I think our teams did a great job at planning that extremely well. One thing I'll add too is our fiber network remained operational throughout the storm. I think in cases where customer experience interruption was typically related to power availability at individual locations.
Yeah. I actually wanted to ask you about that because much of our conversation has been about wireless, but the fiber network has become such a massive part of C-Spire's business model, company business plan. That piece of it, though, remained functional and operational for everybody?
Absolutely.
Wow. What has C-Spire done? Job number one and your responsibility is keeping the network going, making sure that all of the maintenance plans are in place, and if there are recovery plans that are needed, that those are there as well. But you also have done some things for some individual communities where you've gone in and either put charging stations in or made Wi-Fi available to try and help people in this process. What has that looked like?
Yeah, look, you were spot on. Keeping customers connected was our top operational priority during this storm. But serving the community we call home has always been a part of really who we are. I think, really and truly, C-Spire has had a long history of community service. And if you think about during this storm, that commitment extended beyond really just maintaining the network reliability. Yesterday, we coordinated with the city of Oxford to help feed 200 first responder and local personnel's assisting with the storms. We partner with Wesco, SD Solution, Pinpoint, AFL to bring food trucks to the retail location on East Jackson Avenue to provide meals to first responders. In addition to that, we had hotspots, Wi-Fi available at our locations in Batesville and Oxford just to help residents stay connected during the recovery. Yesterday, you mentioned it, we delivered battery backups, wall chargers, USB cables to warming stations in Water Valley, and just to ensure that the displaced residents could power up. And today, from 12 to 2, we've partnered with HD Gibbs and Son to provide meals to first responder at Ulysses Coach Howard Activity Center in Oxford. And look, that's just an illustration that service doesn't stop at the network edge. In every community that we serve, staying connected means showing up, lending a hand, and supporting our first responders, families, and the neighbors in the community that we're truly proud to serve.
What do the days moving forward look like? There are parts of the Delta that are still without power that we visited with Harold Pittman earlier from Delta Electric, and he said probably a week until everybody is back on board. Yesterday, Keith Hayward with Northeast Power in North Mississippi in the Oxford area said in some of the more hard-hit neighborhoods, it could be 10 to 14 days until they have fully power restored. So what do the next week or so look like for C-Spire?
Right now, our focus is on sustaining the network performance and supporting full recovery. That's going to mean continued monitoring of generator power sites, ensuring that the fuel levels remain stable, and closely watching the network performance as, to your point, commercial power is restored. I think at the same time, too, we've started to shift to what I call the lessons learned mode. I think after every major event, you take really a hard look at what worked well and where we can improve upon. So I think storms like this test every part of operations. I think every challenge for us is an opportunity to get better. So that's exactly what we're doing right now.
I don't know if you need to answer this or not. I don't know if this is proprietary, so forgive me if it is, and just tell me, say, we can't talk about that. How many tower sites are there, whether it's in Mississippi or in North Mississippi or whatever? You talked about 200 of them at one point were running on generator power.
Yeah, we have well over 1,300 sites throughout Mississippi.
Wow. Are all of those?
So you do the math on that. We were, I mean, really and truly, only 200 were on on generator, but we had very minimum impact. I mean, I think we were looking at right at 98.8% of our network was up and operational, and the few sites that we did have down, just the way our network is designed. We had overlapping coverage that minimized any disruption to our customers.
And the technology, but I feel like there was a time with cell phones where you're driving along and you leave one tower and you go to another tower and like there was a drop. And it had to, it doesn't work that way anymore, right? It's a seamless handoff, or supposed to be at least.
It is. Look, we work very hard to ensure that is the case.
That's that is outstanding. Charles, outstanding work. I appreciate you being willing to come on and visit with us again this week. And I know there are a lot of people that are very, very grateful that though they may have been without power or without water or without power and water, at least they were able to communicate either with friends or neighbors or family and let them know, hey, we're okay, or this is what we need. It really is crazy how vital the communication piece is to our existence today.
Yeah, that's right. And we talked about that last week a little bit too. That's one of the things that we ensure that's one less thing people have to worry about in conditions like that. I mean, you alluded to it. Hey, my power got to be on. Hey, keeping my family warm, but being connected using your mobile devices. One thing we're proud of. We don't have to have them worry about that.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess it's silly to think, oh, I need to stay connected to the world on Facebook or on X or on Instagram. But it's a way that a lot of people communicate, even without calling or texting. Right. It's like, okay, through messages here, and it's a way for our local municipalities and our power companies and everybody else to get their message out to a big number of people in a short amount of time without having to visit with me on the radio or be on a television spot. They can create that message.
Right.
Really incredible stuff, Charles. I appreciate your time. Continued success and great work. They're not going to. I know you've been there a long time. They're never going to let you go, though. You're going to have to work forever.
Look, I would enjoy that.
There you go, Charles. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you, man.
Charles Watson with Spire. He's SVP for Network Operations, and pretty sophisticated deal. I mean, he pointed out that network operations never dipped below 98%. But if you're talking about in the neighborhood of 1,300 towers in the state of Mississippi, and 200 of them were on generator power, those 1,300 towers are spread all across the state. So if you just say, hey, a quarter of the state or even half the state was affected by this storm, talking 600 tower sites in the northern half of the state, maybe 700, and 200 of those were on generator power at the time. It's a pretty significant number to keep that all flowing without interruption. Pretty good stuff. Thanks to our friends at C-Spire for that conversation. We're back with you after this. It is Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank, online at communitybank.net.
Wake up, get up, and start your day right with Mornings with Richard Cross here on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Thanks for being with us. It is Thursday morning. You've got it locked in on Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm. Thanks for joining us. C-Spire text line is open, 601-879-4395. 601-879-4395. That's the number if you want to join the conversation. Appreciate you being with us this morning. Here we go. Let's see. You may have already mentioned this while I was out of the truck, but it looks like they approved the new area code for North Mississippi. Yeah, when we hit the news headlines this morning. It was the last thing that, or almost the last thing. So the Mississippi Public Service Commission previously approved the introduction of the 471 area code, which will overlay the existing 662 area code region. The new area code will serve communities including South Haven, Tupelo, Greenwood, Greenville, Oxford, Horn Lake, Starkville, Columbus, Corinth, and the surrounding areas beginning this Friday. Customers requesting new phone service or an additional line in the 662 region may be assigned a 471 area code, but only after all the 662 numbers are exhausted. Existing phone numbers will not change. This feels, and I am more than happy to be corrected, this feels like less of a big deal than it once would have been. Lance, I don't know if you remember this. You're a little older than I am, not a lot. I'm certainly old enough to remember what a big deal it was, or it seemed like a big deal, when we went away from the entire state of Mississippi having the 601 area code to a combination of 662 in North Mississippi and 601 kind of staying as it was in Central and South Mississippi. Then you got to a point where you had a 228 on the coast, and now you're adding 471. I say it's less of a big deal, though, because everybody's got cell phones, and you don't have to remember anybody's numbers anymore. You just save phone numbers, and you go to their name, and it's not like you don't care if the first digits are 601, 662, 228, 205, 904, or now 471.
Yeah, it's. I'm just happy I don't have to remember all those numbers anymore.
Yeah.
I remember being down in Mexico after college, and I had to memorize the numbers or have them written down, and I ended up losing my little notebook with the numbers in it. It's like, it tests the memory pretty good there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so much easier now. I mean,
well, and when I first moved here in November of 1988, there were 3 prefixes to the 7-digit phone number. Yeah. Never mind the area code. Campus numbers were 232. Old school Oxford city numbers were 234. Mm-hmm. And then they added 236. And I was like, whew, you got a 234 number or a 236 number? And then cell phones come along, and I guess originally Cellular South numbers were 816 numbers in Oxford, mm-hmm. and AT&T numbers were 801 numbers. And those were really, I mean, it was before AT&T was even in the game. It was Sunburst or Sun something. Anyway. And then you added more, whatever.
Wasn't it 915 when they eventually went to the Ole Miss University, Mississippi?
Yes. The university numbers switched over to 915. There are still some 232 numbers that are out there. I don't know what the breakdown is on that, but no, all of the campus numbers went to 915. Tim and McGee says, I remember when it was no area code and party lines. Okay, well, that's before my time. I've heard about the party lines. But that's where people were concerned about the operator listening in, right?
Yeah, it was like a hotline. The operators were always, you just pick it up and say, connect me to so-and-so. My grandfather had one of those in McGee for Jackson line is what it was called. It was a party line.
Somebody said, don't forget the 769 area code. Where is that? 769, Central and Southern Mississippi, including Jackson, Hattiesburg, and Meridian. Okay.
I thought it was only Hattiesburg, but yeah, I guess it's a bigger swath than I thought.
Okay. 601 was introduced in 1947. You get another Dan in Hattiesburg says, I miss the good old days of not having to dial area codes. Yeah, I mean, you had the home phone, and it was, it was a 7-digit number you had to dial. You only added an area code if you were calling out of state. But then you were worried about, well, do we have a long-distance plan, or do I have to pay for this individual call?
Yeah, is there such thing as a collect call anymore?
Yes.
I just hadn't used one in so long.
I know.
It was still an option for you.
Well, and then there was, you would travel, and if you were staying in a hotel or you needed to use a payphone, you had to have a calling card. Right? I mean, and you had to dial a number in and then, hit pound or star or whatever, and then dial the number you were calling, and there were a certain number of minutes that might have been prepaid. Hey, man, whoo.
Yeah. The good old days.
Well, here we go. The good old days were rotary phones.
Yeah, back when you had the cord that would reach to the back of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd come into the kitchen, and that thing would be a jumbled mess.
My grandmother had a rotary phone on the wall. Man, I can vividly see it in Coffeyville. It
mounted on the wall, too. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Good old days.
There was a desktop one in her bedroom in the back of the house, and then in the kitchen, kind of halfway between the kitchen and the living room or den, there was one. And, that was pre-cordless phone. And if the phone rang, somebody'd have to get up and walk over to the phone and answer. There was no resting your cell phone face down on the dinner table.
Yeah, I remember you'd be on the phone for a little while, then one of your parents would get on and say, "Get off the phone!" Yeah. Everybody has their own phone, so they just got to holler at you.
Or you were on the phone and somebody would pick up and be like, "Hey, I'm on it. I'm on
this. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've been on it all night. Get off." It's much easier nowadays. But as one of our listeners says, if you're in prison, you can still make a collect call. I thought that was the case. I just didn't know if. And this is my friend from a long time ago. What's up, Brian Barlow? I hope you're doing all right. Thanks for
there
the
you
heads
go.
up there, buddy.
Jason Starkville says, are you telling me they wasted tax dollars delivering phone charging cables, or there are people that don't have chargers but have phones? Jason, my friend, I'm afraid a trip to the audiologist might be in order. Hey, first of all, no, Spire is not allocating tax dollars to get phone charging cables out. Secondly, one of the things that Charles told us with is they set up some charging banks and charging centers for people to be able to charge their phones if they did not have power and access to a way to charge their phone, which, as we were discussing, was a primary means of communication. No, Spire did not waste tax dollars to get charging cables out. They're a private company, man. It's not the government.
I love this one here. My cousin in Mobile had 2 teenage daughters in the 70s. He got tired of them always being on the phone, so he put a payphone in the game room for them to use.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
They literally had to put a quarter in?
I guess.
Wow. Yeah. Going back to that list that we were walking through a second ago of all the things that are happening in all the different parts of the world that the United States is involved with, and not small things, like big things. I get a message that says, and Trump thrives in the chaos.
Oh, yeah.
It really feels like he does. Like the more balls that are in the air, the more intense situations, he seems to have this uncanny ability to deal with all of it at seemingly the same time. It may drive his team crazy, but I mean, if you follow Donald Trump on Truth Social or you see his posts on X, I mean, he can be laser focused on Iran and everybody's attention is on Iran, and then all of a sudden he's tweeting something about Mark Carney, the Prime Minister in Canada. And then there's something about Greenland. And you're like, oh no, not the Greenland thing again. The chaos surrounding Greenland appears to have set us up for a deal that is probably better than anybody originally could have imagined, because of the bombastic nature with which Donald Trump... Well, you know what? It's not just the bombastic nature. It's the unpredictability of what he's going to do next. And so when you're dealing with foreign entities, friend or foe alike, they're like, he's crazy enough. Is he really going to do that? Maybe we need to make a deal. And then they do. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
You're waking up to what's happening. Mornings with Richard Cross. Right now on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Back with you, Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi. A pleasure to be with you on this Thursday morning, the 29th of January. We're in the cleanup phase, the assessment phase of damage of the in the wake of, I guess we're going with the name Winter Storm Fern, that wreaked havoc on much of the northern part of the state of Mississippi. And one of the questions that pops up is, okay, what about the insurance piece of this as I begin to fix damages to my home, to my property? To talk more with us about that, Jonathan Powers joins us. He's the agency manager of the West Oxford Loop Branch of Farm Bureau in Oxford, part of Mississippi Farm Bureau. Jonathan, good morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, Richard. Thank you so much for giving me a little bit of time on your show. Communication, I believe, is everything, and this is one of the best ways in the state to get that word out, so thank you.
Well, I certainly appreciate that, and I know there are a lot of people that are nervous right now, they're anxious right now. Their immediate focus for the last few days, if they've been in this path of the storm that has come through, has been on, all right, I got to have some kind of power, whether it's generator or otherwise, and I got to make sure that I got gas in the generator, and we got to make sure the family's fed. They haven't necessarily yet turned their attention to an insurance claim for damage to home or property or car or whatever it is. Some people already have. What is the process at this point if you've got damage that needs to be assessed?
Well, our goal for you, especially on a day like today, the sun's out behind me, which is such a blessing, but we want you moving forward as fast as possible. And so now in an age where everybody's got a cell phone, if you can get out, take photos of any trees that are on a covered property. I think that's a major question people have. And what about trees and how those work? But if your trees are on a covered property, home, outbuilding, blocking ingress, egress from your driveway, that is a covered property. We want you to take photos of that and then move forward. Go ahead and make contact with, there's tree crews that are coming in and out, and we'll probably talk about that in a minute. But we want you to not be held up because of us. Okay. Naturally, we've got our adjusters. We've got a couple that are on the ground now. We've got more coming in. But as you said, we've got to let power lines get out of the way. We've got to let ice get off the roofs before they can come in safely to do their job. So we don't want that to hold you up. Also, Richard, we wanted to make sure that people, as they can, get their cell phones and call the claim in. We've got a 24-hour number. You may have to spend a little time waiting to get through. We've had a massive influx, of course, of claims, but that'll get you in line, and an adjuster will be reaching out to you within a day and a half. We've already had people calling, telling us that we've had people in touch with them. So we're proud of the way we're going to be able to handle things in that regard.
I know there's not a one-size-fits-all answer to this, but I think people do want to know, well, what does my insurance cover? If I had significant tree damage and it didn't hit my house or it didn't hit my shop or my garage, but I've still got to get a tree company to come in and clean everything up and clean the trees up and make them presentable. If the pipes on my pool burst and I've got to get those pipes replaced or a new pump because it froze or whatever, if I have water damage on the inside of my house, is there a general way to answer what's covered?
You're going to get me put in insurance jail.
Okay.
The reason that's so hard to answer, no, every policy is a little bit different. Of course, it depends on the type of policy you have. But in a situation like this, again, trees, and if you think about this, if you just paid to remove trees that aren't on a covered structure, our rates next year statewide with any company would be you couldn't afford them because of the number of trees that are down in any one yard now and the cost to get those out. So you do have to limit that to what they're on the covered premium paying structure. You have to. Most policies are going to have some debris removal for that. The question I think that you have to ask is, do these things have to be done regardless? And if you can ask yourself that and go, I've got to make these arrangements regardless, then you kind of take steps to move forward. You document first, because Farm Bureau is going to pay you what is morally, ethically, and legally in that contract. They're going to pay you for that regardless. So if you document and do, and it's in that contract at the finish line, we're going to pay you for it. So you don't have to worry about that. And Richard, I think, I've moved from the anxiety stage as this started. I think every insurance agent that's been in this business for a while, when you see weather reports, you start going down that anxiety road. Well, I've moved now, and this may sound strange, but to the excitement side, because now is when we get to make a difference. Now is when we truly get to show value to our clients. And so, like I said, you don't have to worry. A lot of times when the claim happens, I think we take this defensive approach that I've got to be prepared to fight for what's mine. That is not the case, and that is not the feeling I want our clients to have. I want you to just know in advance, we want to be your partner. We want to come in and walk through this with you. You're not going to have to fight for everything that is in your policy anyway. So if your policy includes frozen pipes and your policy includes water damage, and which most of them do, we're going to take care of that.
Yeah. How long does this take? And I mean, I know that is a loaded question, but you talked about that you may have to wait for a while. If you call the claims center, you're going to have to wait a little while for an adjuster. You got to be patient on that. Will this be ongoing for weeks, for months, in terms of taking care of all of the Farm Bureau members that have been affected?
I would definitely not say months. Okay. I'm going to put our claims department kind of on the hook here, but I've done this starting my 29th year. We've had rate changes, we've had policy changes, we've had technology changes. One thing that has not changed is our claim service. And I know the promises that we've made, and they are going to be in contact. I was looking at my computer screen right now, and I can see the claims starting to pile up and come in. So people are getting through. Our adjusters will be in contact within a couple of days, and then it just kind of becomes a time frame of when we can get the construction crews over, the roofers over. We're going to get out and do our estimates and make our contacts, and that's going to be in a weekly manner. It will not be months. You will be contacted sooner than later, and we'll get a partner with you to walk through it and advise you along the way. But no, it may be months from start to finish based off how you're able to get the other pieces involved, and they're going to be backed up for sure. So patience will be key, but you will be in touch with an adjuster sooner than later.
A lot of people have multi-line policies where they have automobile insurance and they've got homeowners insurance. Maybe they've got life insurance as well. If a tree falls on your car, is that a home claim or an auto claim?
That's an auto claim. It'll be covered under your comprehensive portion of your auto coverage. So that clears that up. You do have people that have auto here, home there, so that does become a kind of a question mark as well. Yeah. But that's part of your auto policy.
Gotcha.
And one other thing, Richard.
Yeah,
trees, again, let's go back to that. Trees falling on neighbors' yards. Okay. Mm-hmm. A lot of times we get calls going, well, my tree fell across his driveway and his property. Well, the thing about that is that's an act of God claim. If your tree was alive and well and it falls across your neighbor, you don't have a legal responsibility for that. That's not your problem or your issue. I would encourage you to maybe be a neighbor and work through it together and figure out how to go about that. But that will be filed on theirs. Again, if it's across their driveway, their homeowners will cover that to help them get that removed. So there's a lot of tree questions out there, but that's just that's not your legal problem if your tree was alive and it fell across the neighbor's property.
I think that is a really important thing for people to note, because I think generally speaking, and this has led to a lot of neighborly disputes along the way, my tree fell on your property. Well, it was your tree, so it's your responsibility. But you're saying that's not the case. If it was indeed a healthy tree that goes down, that becomes the problem of the person where the tree fell, not where the tree originated.
That is absolutely correct. you can go down that rabbit hole a long way, and as far as a dead tree and being notified and photos, and you can get into that. But for what we're dealing with now, in a storm, and there's trees in everybody's yard, and that's one of the things that kind of broke my heart with Oxford. Is such a beautiful town, and it's kind of under a canopy of trees. The whole community is. So you're having that in every neighbor's yard. Your tree fell across my this, and that's. But that is not an issue as far as whose tree is whose. It's just if it's on your property and it's alive, it's going to be your responsibility.
All right, Jonathan, last thing for you. Got about a minute left. There are a lot of out-of-town and out-of-state license plates in a bunch of parts of Mississippi. A lot of tree contractors all of a sudden and construction repair people. In terms of, we've seen in Oxford, the Oxford Police Department warned its citizens, hey, be careful. Make sure you know what you're getting into. Don't pay people up front, especially large sums of money. What do you say about contractors that are eligible for my use, for your use?
I would say this. One of the beauties of small town Mississippi is you can find somebody that knows somebody. So I would reach out. Our contract states reasonable expense. If somebody walks in your driveway and says, I'm going to cut that tree off your driveway for $40,000, that should be an alarm bell. That is not reasonable, and you're going to be stuck with that, and that contract is going to be between you and that tree cutter. Farm Bureau is going to pay reasonable, then the rest is yours. So just be careful. We've got so many reputable people out here trying to help and do, and just patience again. Don't get walked into anything. Take your time. If it doesn't feel right, it's probably not right.
Jonathan, thanks so much for your time and all the best.
Thank you, Richard, for having me.
Waking up Mississippi. From South Haven to Scuba, it's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
That's the way you spell Chicago. A nice bite of pork, well, and a plate of green. That's the way you spell, New Orleans. Girl over there with the heart.
Thanks for being with us on this Thursday morning. 29th of January, a day in which, for the entirety of the state of Mississippi, temperatures at a minimum are going to be in the mid-40s for highs, and in parts of the state, you're gonna knock on 60 degrees today. I'll trade with you.
It's hard to believe, but I mean, that is.
Yeah. And this is going to get cold again this weekend coming up. I appreciate Jonathan Powers joining us from Farm Bureau. I do want to say this, and this is just full disclosure. We obviously have a long-standing partnership at SuperTalk with Farm Bureau. Been a great partner of ours. They're a great Mississippi company. They are who I do business with for my insurance needs. And they've been fantastic. But not everybody is a Farm Bureau member. You may have insurance with any of number of insurance agencies that are out there. And so I hope you heard what Jonathan said and was talking about. While he was specifically talking about Farm Bureau, most insurance companies across the state of Mississippi, or that are doing business in Mississippi, are going to have a similar process. You heard Jonathan be very, very careful about how he answered specific questions about what's covered. It depends on what your policy is. It depends on what you're paying for in terms of what's covered. There are some things that across the board are going to be covered, and then some have special carve-outs or niches that are specific to the policy holder. So just reach out to whomever your insurance provider is. Talk to them about the damage, and to his point, regardless of who you do business with, take pictures, take videos, keep those so that you can turn them over to either the adjuster or your insurance agent, and they can kind of work up the command. I had a little bit of a panic just for a second ago. I don't know if I'm going to have an insurance claim or not. We're still kind of working through cleaning up at our house. I was like, oh, shoot, I didn't stop and take pictures. And then I was like, well, we kind of did. I mean, we took videos of the yard and all of the things. So whatever documentation you've got, just make sure that you've got that where you can get that to your agent and you can get what you are entitled to. And I use that word specifically, entitled to. You pay your insurance on time every month. Insurance, as it exists, is there for a worst-case scenario. It's one of those things that you spend money on that you kind of hope you never have to use, because that means things are going well and things aren't breaking and you're not having natural disasters and all of those things. But you pay for insurance so that when something bad does happen, you're covered. Take advantage of that. Make sure that you document everything and work with your agent to figure that out, regardless of the company that you do business with. Department of Public Safety has put out another notice. This was about 40 minutes ago. The initial thought was that the northbound lanes in Batesville working north into Tate County and DeSoto County, the northbound lane, right lane of I-55 was supposed to open at 8 o'clock this morning. Not the case. I-55 northbound will remain closed until the Mississippi Department of Transportation can clear the right lane of the northbound side. Overnight conditions resulted in additional accumulation of black ice on the interstate. We expect it to be cleared later this morning. MDOT crews will continue to work to clear I-22 and the left lane of I-55 throughout the day. Highway Patrol and Commercial Transportation Enforcement Division will continue to be diverting traffic from I-55 northbound exit 243, that is Batesville, all the way to the Tennessee state line, and from I-22 westbound, the Red Banks exit, that's exit 21, to the Tennessee state line. So if you are headed toward Memphis on I-22 and you get to the Red Banks exit, that's as far as you can go. If you are headed toward Memphis on I-55, so you're headed north, and you get to the Batesville exit, exit 243, that is as far as you can go for now. And when that interstate opens, it's going to be the right lane that is open. And so you better allot a little extra time than what you normally would. Lance, my formula for exactly when I leave to get to the airport would be no good right now.
Yeah, no.
I cut it probably closer than I should usually. Couldn't do that right now. Hope you won't either. Thanks for being with us. Good to be with you. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi, presented by Community Bank, online at communitybank.net. Keep it locked into SuperTalk for all the news that you need in the Magnolia State. We're back with you tomorrow morning at just after 6 o'clock. For Lance, I'm Richard. Have a great day. Stay safe, everybody.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.